Bill, wake up! The carriage is on fire!
That's only funny when I do it to you.
What's the matter? Have a rough night?
Bit too much Bollingworth ale is all. That stuff really creeps up on you.
Sorry I couldn't join you, but I was long overdue for a quiet night in with Addie.
That's fine. There'll be plenty of other opportunities. Hell, maybe Adelaide can even join us. It's been ages since she last drank me under the table.
I'm afraid she mostly sticks to tea these days.
Miles, what exactly is it we're looking into? I may have dozed off during the briefing.
Honestly, Bill, one of these days Snelling's gonna notice.
No, he won't. Why do you think they put him behind a desk? The man couldn't find his own backside with a pair of pliers and a lantern.
Very funny. Anyway, it's a burglary at the Hambrook flower shop.
A burglary, eh? How dull. At least we'll have enough time to get a drink afterwards.
You seem awfully certain of that.
I am. In fact, I'd bet the devil my head that we're done within the hour.
Well, the devil's gonna be disappointed that his winnings are so meager. Ah, we've arrived. After you, Bill. Thank you. Keep the change.
And so, our night of excitement begins.
You more than anyone else should know that there's rarely a dull night in Chumley.
I have a feeling tonight will be the exception. Until we get to the pub, that is.
Keep your mind on the case, Bill. Now let's get a move on. Looks like they've had some trouble with vandalism.
Pretty much every business in this part of town has. Fordham, what are you doing?
I was gonna check inside this trash can for clues.
Miles, in the 15 years we've been partners, how many times have you found something inside a trash can that wasn't garbage?
Fair point. Come on, Bill.
Charming little place, isn't it?
Charming, but empty. We need to find the owner.
Always so to the point, Fordham. If ever there was a better time to stop and smell the flowers.
I think I'll leave that to you, Bill.
With my allergies? Hardly.
Not too many left. Seems business isn't so bad around here.
Well, you know what they say. There are only 3 certainties in life. Death, taxes, and people taking advantage of sales.
Be right there. Oh, hello, gentlemen. I must say you caught me by surprise. I was preparing to close soon. May I help you find anything? The flowers in the center display are half-price this week, and I have a special on chrysanthemums today. Or perhaps a custom bouquet for the special ladies in your lives?
I have no need myself, but maybe Adelaide would appreciate a little something. Eh, Miles? Those peonies in the corner look nice.
I'm afraid we're not here as customers tonight, ma'am. We'd like to have a word with the proprietor. Is he in?
I see. I'm Cecilia Handbook, and this is my shop. What can I do for you, gentlemen?
I'm Detective Miles Fordham, and this is my partner, William Legere. We received a report of a burglary at your store.
A report? From whom? I never contacted the police before, and I didn't this time, either.
It was made anonymously, but are you saying this isn't the first time it's happened?
Correct. It's happened 3 times. But considering the police hardly care about the daily muggings and vandalisms around here, I didn't think they would be interested in something so trivial.
Well, we're here now, and we'll do all we can to help you.
We'll have to see about that.
If you wouldn't mind, Mrs. Hanbrook, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Very well, Detective.
Could you give me the details concerning the burglaries?
About 3 weeks ago on Monday, I noticed that my order of Easter lilies was missing. At first, I thought nothing of it. Sometimes certain types of flowers are unavailable or arrive in poor condition. These things happen. Then 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, it happened again. But this time, I noticed something rather odd.
Go on.
When I opened the shop, there were 6 crowns and 10 shillings on the counter. That's exactly the cost of 2 orders of lilies. Last Friday, it happened yet again. The lilies were missing, and there was payment for 1 order on the counter. I believe that someone has been breaking into my shop after hours, taking the lilies, and leaving money behind.
How unusual. So this burglar has been paying for the stolen goods?
That would appear to be the case, yes. I really don't think this could even be considered a crime. That's one of the reasons I didn't bother reporting it to the police.
And the other reasons?
Oh, I think I've already made those quite clear, Detective.
Have you noticed any suspicious characters lurking around?
Detective Fordham, this is Chumley. You can't throw a stone without hitting a suspicious character. And if you've noticed my window, you'd be aware that stones get thrown around quite a bit in this neighborhood. If you're looking for trouble, you're far more likely to find it out there than in here.
I meant if you'd seen anyone out of the ordinary near your shop.
Only the 2 men from the police who entered it tonight. That is most definitely out of the ordinary.
Have you found any evidence of a break-in?
No, the front door is always locked. My assistant Trevor and I are the only ones with the key.
Are there any other points of access to the building?
The upstairs windows, I suppose, but I make sure to keep them locked, and neither of them have been broken.
Would you allow us to have a look upstairs?
Is that really necessary? I was just about to close up the shop.
It won't take but a moment.
Fine, I suppose you may, but please, don't dally too long.
You mentioned your assistant has the other shop key. What can you tell me about him?
His name is Trevor Hastings, and he has been working for me for the past 10 years.
Do you trust him?
Implicitly. I've known him for ages, and he has been my full-time assistant since shortly after my husband died. You're not suggesting he had anything to do with this, are you?
Not at all. I would like to speak with him, though. Where might I find him?
It's Friday, so he should be on his way back from the docks right now. He'll be bringing my flower order within the hour.
Good. We'll meet him here, then. If that's all right with you.
I suppose I don't really have much of a choice, do I?
Have you been in business long?
Yes, I opened this shop 30 years ago, along with my late husband, David. But the past 10 years, I've been running things on my own.
Don't you feel unsafe being here by yourself so late into the night?
Detective, when you've lived in this part of town as long as I have, it takes quite a lot to scare you.
I think that's all the information I need for now.
All right, Detective.
Interesting choice of decor in here.
Perhaps it wasn't always used as a storeroom, although I can understand why it would have been converted.
Yeah, it is rather drafty in here.
A young lady, perhaps a relation of Mrs. Hanbrook?
I can see the resemblance. Sort of.
A rather distinguished-looking gentleman.
Reminds me of Captain Snelling, if he ever smiled.
The window latch, securely locked. Interesting. There's a gap between the window and the frame here. No wonder it's so drafty in this room. I wonder.
What are you thinking, Fordham?
That it's time for an experiment. I'm going to need a tool, however. Something long and thin should do the trick.
Shouldn't be too hard to find something like that around here.
This provides a means of escape from the top floor, or access to this window from the ground. Seems to be the broken pot storage area.
Why not just throw them away, I wonder?
It's likely they're going to be repaired. I noticed some faint cracks in some of the pots downstairs. I've seen this type of device before. It's a special container for growing plants. Specific temperature and water conditions can be adjusted. Seems to be empty right now, though, and judging by the dust, it hasn't been used in a long time, if ever.
It seems Mrs. Handbrook isn't too fond of steam tech, or just doesn't understand it.
Unmarked, but if the smell is anything to go by, this is where the flowers are stored when delivered.
I'll keep my distance then.
I would imagine that keeping a consistent temperature in here is important for the flowers.
When do you suppose this contraption was last serviced?
Hard to say. Definitely not recently, if the dust buildup is any indication. Aha! This hook is exactly what I need. Mrs. Handbrook, may I borrow this hook for a few minutes? It's crucial to our investigation.
Is that so?
Yes, I promise I'll put it back as soon as I'm done.
Please do, Detective.
Good. Bill, it's time for our experiment.
And what is this experiment going to be exactly?
Simple. I'm going to see if this hook can get me inside the shop. Rather dark out here.
Watch your step then. This experiment of yours isn't worth a broken neck.
I'll be fine. Now then, could you please close and lock the window, Bill? Well, I'd say this is fairly incontrovertible proof that the building can easily be broken into without arousing suspicion.
Where'd you learn how to do that anyway?
You taught me, remember?
Nah. Are you sure it was me?
Positive. We were a few pints in at the Angel about 5 years ago, and you decided I should learn how to pick locks.
What else have I taught you how to do while drunk?
That would be telling.
Trevor.
Evening, Cecilia. I've got the order ready to bring in.
Trevor, these are Detectives Fordham and Leger. They say there's been a report about the burglaries, and they're here investigating.
I only did it because I think it's been going on too long. As much as you want to, we can't handle this ourselves.
We can discuss the matter later. In the meantime, the detective would like a word with you.
I'll be needing to bring in the flowers first, if that's all right. Otherwise, some hooligan's likely to run off with them.
My partner will keep an eye on your flowers. Bill?
Ah, the glamour of police work.
Now, Mr. Hastings, if I could ask you a few questions?
Go on, then.
Could you walk me through the process of your deliveries?
Of course. There's no great science to it. On Monday, Wednesday, and Friday afternoons, Cecilia gives me her list of flowers to pick up from the wholesalers. I head over to Gascone around sunset when they get their shipment, and I give them her order. They load up the crate, I pay for it, and then I lug it back here.
How long does that take?
Between moving the crate and getting it across the river on the ferry, a couple of hours. Usually the store's closed by then, so I use my key to get in and leave the crate inside for Cecilia to open in the morning. That's all there is to it. Told you it wasn't very complicated.
Do you ever leave the crate unattended during that time?
No, sir. Never more than a minute. I may be old, but I got good eyes. I'd see if there were anything amiss. Besides that, I check to make sure the crate is still sealed when I drop it off. I'm not about to let Cecilia down by being careless.
What can you tell me about the recent burglaries?
I wish Cecilia had contacted you a lot sooner. She's a damn fine woman. But sometimes I think she'd rather jump in a rose bush than ask for help. Had to take matters into my own hands. This needs taken care of, and we can't do it on our own, as much as Cecilia would like to. Anyhow, alls I know is someone's been making off with some flowers and leaving money behind. No idea who it could be, how they're getting in, or why they even bother paying. In my day, if you robbed a place, you did it the right way. It's a sad state of affairs when even burglars don't do their jobs correctly.
Do you have much experience with burglary, Mr. Hastings?
Now, I never said that, Detective.
Have you noticed anyone or anything suspicious around here recently?
Nothing but the usual roughnecks, ragamuffins, and drunkards. Like I said, it's a real mystery.
How long have you been working for Mrs. Hanbrook?
Been about 10 years now, I reckon. I used to help with deliveries now and then when it was her and David, her husband. But after he passed, she offered to make me her assistant. Unfortunate way to get it, but I needed the work. Used to be I had a job at one of the airship yards, but they let me go after I was injured by one of those newfangled steam machines. So the offer came at a good time. Besides that, Cecilia needed looking after, even though she'd never admit it. If I'm being honest, we're both getting a bit long on the tooth. Not sure how much longer we'll be keeping this up, but as long as I'm upright and breathing, I'll be bringing these crates along, even if it is murder on my back.
I admire your work ethic.
I've got a job to do. Not enough people these days seem to respect that.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Hastings. I'll let you get back to work.
Appreciate it, Detective. If you don't mind, Detective, I still need to check the crate before I bring it in.
Of course. Thank you again for your help.
Learn anything?
Possibly. I may have an idea.
Ah, you're being cryptic. That's always a good sign. But if you've got a plan, let's talk about it.
Got a minute, Bill?
For you, Miles, I've got 5.
What's your impression of dear old Mrs. Hanbrook?
I like her. Good old-fashioned, tough-as-nails Chumley woman. Reminds me of my mother.
Your mother was never quite so stubborn. Why do you suppose she's so reluctant to accept our help?
It's a chum thing, Miles. You wouldn't understand.
Any thoughts on Mrs. Hanbrook's assistant, Trevor?
Yes, I feel sorry for him.
Why? He seems to enjoy his work.
Nah, it's not that. He's obviously smitten with Mrs. Hanbrook, but she won't give him the time of day.
What? You only saw him for a few moments. How in the ether did you get that impression?
The way he looked at her, the way he spoke when he confessed to contacting the police. Shall I go on?
No, that's fine. I see what you mean.
Really, Miles? You'd be surprised what you can learn from people if you just look at them.
Why bother doing that when I've got you to do it for me? You ever miss living out here, Bill?
About as much as you missed stepping in that pile of horseshit last week.
I was distracted by that story you were telling me about your sister. How's she doing out west, anyway?
Well, she's not in the chum, so fantastic. Living here was about as fun as wearing a vest made of meat to a dogfight. I'm glad we both managed to get out. Oh, and by the way, Miles, you didn't do such a great job of cleaning your shoes.
That would explain all the funny looks I've been getting. I've heard of honor among thieves, but have you ever known a thief to pay for stolen goods?
Perhaps conducting normal business is just too boring for him. Do you think he might be doing it for the thrill?
There could be any number of reasons. The best way to find out is to catch the culprit and ask him ourselves. Still feeling rough, Bill?
Yes, but I'll feel better once his case is finished and we can go down to the Angel for a pint or 4.
Hair of the dog?
No better medicine.
Right. Based on what we've been told in our experiment, I can only conclude that our burglar is using the upstairs window to get into the shop.
So what do you propose we do about it?
It's happened repeatedly over the past 3 weeks, on one of the delivery nights. Since it has yet to occur this week, and today is Friday, logic dictates it should be tonight.
So we settle in and wait to see if the burglar returns? Catch him in the act?
Exactly. It's our best chance of solving this before the trail goes cold.
And I was really looking forward to getting that drink at the Angel tonight, too.
I know, but it's as you said yourself. There'll be plenty of other opportunities. Besides, forbearance is good for the soul.
Spoken like someone who truly has no idea how to have any fun.
I'm sure I'll get the hang of it one of these days, especially with your expert tutelage.
Okay, let's go have a chat with Mrs. Hambrook. I'm sure she'll be delighted to know we're spending the night. Damn, I forgot to bring my deck of cards again.
At least it's quiet up here. I'm surprised we didn't go deaf after the last time we did this.
What?
I said... Oh, right. Your sense of humor remains on point.
Miles, have you ever considered leaving all this behind?
What, you mean quitting the Force?
The Force, the city, going off and seeing what else is out there, you know?
I'd miss it too much. Wouldn't you?
I was thinking I might visit Harley out west. She makes it sound like a dream in her letters. Wide open spaces, fresh air. I know I'm a city boy and would probably miss New Britannia's filth and squalor after a week, but...
You should do it. A change of scenery never hurt anyone. Plus, it's much easier for you than it is for me. I've got a family to consider, after all.
Ah, right.
Oh, no, I didn't mean it like that, Bill. It's just... Shh.
I think I heard something. Oh, no!
Bill? Stop! Police!
Damn it! He's got up the fire escape. We can corner him on the roof. Stay close and keep me covered.
Bill!
Stay back, officer. I've got a knife. Ready your pistol for him.
But you're too close!
I trust you, Miles. Your pistol, now! There's really no need for this, officer. I respect your desire to uphold justice. Mine is more important. If you let me go, I won't come back. And we can all forget this ever happened. Don't listen to this lunatic, Miles. Take your shot before things get worse.
Bill! Oh, God! I am so sorry, my friend. I am so sorry.
Wake up! Your house is on fire!
Huh? What?
You see, I told you it was funnier when I did it to you.
Yes. Hilarious.
What's the matter? Have a rough night?
Overdid it on the soporific. Why do I feel like I've had this conversation before?
I'm just glad you're in the mood to converse again. Seriously, you took so much of that snake oil last night, I was starting to think you wanted me quiet for good.
It's no personal slight. I just need some quiet time, or I'll go insane.
I get it. We all need our space. I know it's not easy, but there's really no need.
Not easy? Bill, I've been hearing your voice since you died. You don't shut up unless I take that accursed medicine. I'd say that qualifies as a bit more than not easy.
Yeah, well, how do you think I feel? You think I enjoy being trapped here, listening to you whine about how hard your life's become? You at least still have yours.
If you're just as miserable, why don't you just go away and leave me in peace?
Believe me, I wish I knew how. But the bottom fact is, you're stuck with me. So you can either keep living this way and ruin your life even more than you already have, or you can do as I've told you and try to figure out a way to let me move on.
Right. For the 1000th time, you want me to find the burglar from the flower shop.
Yes, exactly.
I still don't get how that's going to help.
I can understand your confusion, considering it was you who killed me. But the point remains. You wouldn't have been in that situation in the first place if not for him. Once the criminal has been caught and is in custody, we'll both get what we want.
A decent night's sleep?
More than that, you'll have that elusive thing you always wanted to give others. Closure.
You do realize the trail's pretty much frozen at this point. Our man has seemingly vanished into the ether.
That's no excuse not to keep trying. I know the cases Upton's been giving you these past few months haven't been the most thrilling, but they've at least kept you active. So just keep at it. Something has to turn up eventually. Unless, of course, you want to wind up in Riverview Asylum. And if that happens, I'm really not going to keep quiet.
Fine.
Good man. Now, I suggest you stop talking to thin air, or Adelaide's going to start wondering if you've gone mental. Or just maybe, she'll stop wondering.
Very funny.
That's a fun little apparatus Adelaide got you. Very soothing.
Watching it spin long enough puts me right to sleep.
I'd say that's really more the soporific's doing. Miles, care to explain what you're doing?
Just checking to make sure everything that needs to be in here still is.
Right. If you start taking that stuff during the day, you're really going to have problems. I always liked that self-portrait of Adelaide's mother, even if the eyes do always follow you around the room.
Well, look who's awake. Ready to rejoin the living?
Very much so.
You were talking in your sleep again.
Did I say anything interesting?
Do you ever?
You have to admit, she's got you there.
How are you feeling?
A touch groggy. I think I took a bit too much of the soporific last night.
That's what I thought. When you went for your after-lunch nap, you'd barely gotten breakfast down. I saved you some bread and cheese if you're hungry.
Thank you, but I haven't got much of an appetite.
You really should regulate your doses more carefully, love. I'm sure dull senses and an empty stomach aren't much help to your work. By the way, a message arrived via courier for you this morning. I put it on the table along with today's newspaper.
Thank you, dear.
You remember how much time Adelaide had to spend convincing you to sit for this? At least these days, with ferrotype tech advancing the way it is, these portraits can be done in just a matter of minutes.
Upton says she's got a big case for me.
Does she go into any more detail than that?
No, but then you know Upton. Always on a need-to-know basis. Especially since she's been giving me these cases under the table.
To be fair, they haven't exactly been anything of note.
True, but she's still sticking her neck out for me. I can understand why she's so secretive about it.
I think she just misses having you around the station.
Poor Connie. With you quitting and me dying, she must be bored stiff at work.
Anyway, I'm supposed to meet her at the ruined coffee house. That can't be right.
It's not like Constance to make mistakes. She must have gotten in somehow.
Guess I'll head over there and see what she's got then.
Adelaide's father certainly had an amazing life. Imagine being the personal barber to the Prime Minister and his family. The gossip and secrets he must have heard. It's been so long since you used that desk. Did you even notice when Adelaide got rid of the chair? Bollingworth Ale, my favorite. And a nice souvenir from the Angel. You really ought to go back there someday. I'd love to see the look on Snelling's face if he ever found out you kept your old truncheon.
I shouldn't be gone too long.
Goodbye, dear. Love you.
Love you too.
Ah, the Rouen Coffee House. Worst Java in Lamplight City, but there's no better place to overhear all the rumors and gossip in town. Just make sure you don't get too close to the other patrons. Discretion was never your forte.
If it isn't my old friend, up to no good.
Hello, Fordham. It's good to see you.
How did you get them to let you in here?
It's rather simple, really. The owner and I have an understanding. He pretends women are allowed in coffee houses, and I don't report his unsavory business practices to Chief Snelling.
Sounds like a good deal. What sort of unsavory business practices are we talking about?
Oh, we haven't got time to get into that now. But take some advice. Don't order anything that isn't water.
I got your message. What's going on?
It's time for you to join the big boys again, Fordham. Your days of finding lost cats are over.
So stop teasing me and tell me what it is already.
Do you know Madame Laura Dupre?
Laura Dupre? She's one of those Gascon Grand Dames, isn't she?
That's right. I'm surprised you've heard of her. I didn't think you cared about those types of people.
I don't, but Adelaide has several of them as clients. She gets paid to pretend to care about their lives, and I get to hear the sordid details.
Madame Dupre died the day before yesterday. Her funeral was held this morning.
My condolences.
But halfway through the service, the mourners heard a loud knocking coming from inside her coffin.
She wasn't dead?
Apparently not. Nearly interred alive, although her doctor swears she had no pulse. Dupre's son Andrew was quick to suspect foul play. He accused a man named Albert Martin, and the police arrested him.
So where do I come in? Sounds like the case has already been solved.
I strongly suspect that Martin is innocent, especially considering the talk of him having used black magic on Dupre. The police feel they have enough evidence to convict, so they're not bothering to investigate any further. You're going to look into it and see if I'm right, then find the person who was really behind this.
Has Madame Dupre recovered from her ordeal?
I'm afraid not. Apparently she's been catatonic since they pulled her out of the coffin.
How unfortunate.
If you'd like to question Mr. Martin, he's being held at the Bow Street Jail. Or you could take a look around his house. It's at 451 Compton Street in Worcester.
And the Dupre home?
That's at Emmeline and Comtesse, right across from the old Angeline convent. It's also possible you might run into the police during your investigation, since they're technically still on the case.
Thanks for the warning.
Was there anything you wanted to talk about before you get started?
Yes, actually. I had a couple of questions.
Let's hear them then.
Don't suppose there have been any developments regarding Bill's murder?
Unfortunately not. The department hasn't exactly been focusing on that case as a priority. The general attitude is that it was an accident. Bill died an honorable death in the line of duty.
Would have been nice if they bothered saying that at the funeral.
And of course there are still those who blame you for his death, Snelling being the first and foremost.
But the man who really caused Bill's death is still out there.
Yes, I know, but it looks like you're on your own if you want to find him. My hands are tied. I can only ask around so much before the higher-ups get suspicious. Just don't give up. New Britannia may be a big city, but the criminal world is surprisingly close-knit. If you find any connections or leads during your other cases, be sure and let me know. I'll do the same if I find anything out.
See, she has a priority straight. You could learn a lot from up there.
I wanted to go over the case with you.
Okay, what have you got?
What do you know about Madame Dupre?
Only what I've read about her in the paper. She's been married thrice, which I can empathize with, and she's extremely rich, which I can't.
What makes you think this Martin fellow is innocent?
The fact that the only evidence is the word of Dupre's son. I've seen this sort of thing thousands of times, and I'm sure you did too. They're just looking for a scapegoat. You're the only person I know who can put it right.
Upton's intentions are noble, but she has to realize this is just a drop in the ocean.
That's enough about the case for now.
Okay,
That's it, I think.
then you'd better get back to it.
Well, I'm not entirely sure how this is going to help you find the flower shop burglar, but I suppose freeing an innocent man is a worthy diversion. Compton Street. We're not too far from Restaurant Row. When's the last time you ate, anyway?
Please, let's not add eating to the list of things to nag me about.
Considering how many eating establishments are in this neighborhood, the butcher picked a fantastic spot to set up shop. I do notice a distinct lack of stray cats in this neighborhood, though. I'm glad that Coulson still uses horses. I don't trust the new self-driving cabs. One of Atwood's re-election posters, sorely lacking a mustache. Go on, Miles. Fix this grievous injustice.
Not now, Bill. There are more important things to worry about.
Spoil sport.
I'm sorry, I have no time for visitors today.
I need to speak with you about Albert Martin.
Albert? Are you with the police?
No, I'm a private investigator.
Oh, I don't think you can help. I'm sorry.
Sorry to bother you. I'll be on my way.
Good day to you, sir.
You are aware this is private property, sir?
Yes, I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. I'm looking into the incident involving Madame Dupre. I assume this is she?
You assume correctly, Mr. Fordham. My apologies, but I thought the police had already made an arrest.
That's right, but there's still some doubt as to the man's guilt. May I ask your name, sir?
I am Dr. Fellows, Madame Dupre's private physician. I'm afraid she is in no state to be answering questions at present.
Are any other members of the family home?
Her son, Mr. Montgomery, is in the entrance hall. I had to give him a mild sedative to settle his nerves, but he should be all right to converse.
Then if you don't mind, I'll have a look around.
Her eyes are glazed over, and she's got a vacant, expressionless stare. She seems completely oblivious to her surroundings. If we didn't know she'd been buried alive, I'd say she was just exhibiting the typical symptoms of your average rich person. This fountain probably looked nicer when it was working, but right now it's just a breeding ground for mosquitoes.
Oh, hello. Are you the new servant?
No, I'm Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator looking into your mother's attempted murder.
How did you know I was her son? Oh, of course. You must have sensed it with your detective's intuition. I should have guessed by that giant head of yours.
Are you feeling all right, Mr. Montgomery?
Yes, I'm fine. Much better than when those pesky police officers were snooping around earlier. But I like you, Mr. Fordham. I can already tell you're not like them at all. Please, call me Andrew.
Yes, well, I'll have a look around and I may need to ask you some questions. Do you think you can handle that?
I can. In fact, I really look forward to it.
If the good doctor gave him a mild sedative, I'd hate to see what the stuff you take would have done to him.
I have some questions for you.
Oh, goody.
That's a rather exotic bird you've got.
I like looking at him. He has such pretty colors, doesn't he?
That he does.
You know, I've always wondered what he might taste like. Is that bad, do you think?
I really couldn't say, Mr. Montgomery. What can you tell me about Madame Dupre?
She came back from the dead. I couldn't believe it. My mother, resurrected, just like Jesus.
Yes. I heard you're the one who accused Mr. Martin of the crime.
Oh, no, I already talked to the police about that. I don't want to think about it right now.
How do you typically spend your days, Mr. Montgomery? What are your interests?
Oh, a little of this and a little of that. Nothing as exciting as what you do, I'm sure. Ooh, tell me, do most bad people start crying when you catch them? I'll bet it's a laugh riot to see them sobbing away.
No, Mr. Montgomery, most of them don't.
Well, that's a real shame, isn't it?
Thanks for your time.
No, thank you for yours.
This is ridiculous. he won't be of any use in this state. If it takes him as long to snap out of it as it takes you, we'll be waiting around here until noontime tomorrow. There has to be a way to bring him back to his senses. Maybe that quack outside knows something of use. Certainly no shortage of bowls or food preparation items around here.
Pardon me, miss.
What? Who are you?
I'm Miles Fordham. I'm investigating the attempted murder of Madame Dupre.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but I'm very busy. I can't help you.
Do you know anything about what happened to Madame Dupre?
No, I don't. Please leave me to my work. I shouldn't be talking to you.
All right, I'm going.
A horrible little porcelain figurine. Madame Dupre didn't strike me as the type to play with dolls. Goodness, someone went overboard with the flowers. This brings back some memories, doesn't it?
Ones I'd rather forget.
I can only wonder what sort of potions Andrew concocts in this thing. It looks as though this folded piece of paper is being used as a bookmark. I hope
Looks like it's a letter for Andrew.
The Science of Pharmacology. Dr. Tennyson's Vigor Pills. These would make a sloth act like a hummingbird.
The bottle is empty.
Is this really the best that medical science has to offer? A gentle reminder that everyone's time is slowly running out.
These should be useful.
I can only wonder what sort of potions... Decadent. What in the ether is that thing supposed to be? Actually, I'd rather not know. It must be a nice place to... Oh, look! It's one of those new audio... I don't know much about art, but I see Madame Dupre and I at least have similar taste. Whoever lives in this room really likes plants and flowers, don't they? I've never seen so many beauty products together in one place. Doesn't look like they get used much, though.
Locked. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised. Locked. They're all empty. How unusual.
Not to mention disappointing.
Let's have a look through these papers. Aha, what's this?
Interesting. This Miss Montgomery must be Andrew's sister. But why is she renting a room in the Chum? Guess there's really only one way to find out. There doesn't seem to... Well, someone's...
I always thought they had a certain appeal myself.
Yes, you would think that about a bed that lets you shut out the rest of the world.
Locked. Locked. They're all...
Not to mention... Doesn't appear to be very brief if there's 2 volumes of it. I wonder if anyone outside the family would find this even remotely interesting. Choice and consequence. Who in their right mind would write a book about that? One of those melodramatic romance. Now that one sounds interesting. I was always... Doesn't appear to be... I don't even want it. I read that one.
Let's see if there's anything in these drawers. Damn, nothing but personal effects and more stationery.
Don't forget the first rule of detective work. If there's nothing useful inside, check underneath and between.
Ah, yes, of course. Thanks for the reminder.
Now this is intriguing. Nothing else of it.
It would appear that Madame Dupre was taking music lessons.
Her current predicament has probably put an end to that venture, though. Seems Madame Dupre fancies herself a poet.
Well, that was life-changing.
For once in my life,
Then perhaps I should take this with me and read it more often. Nah.
You've got some huge bags under your eyes, Miles. Reminds me of the case we had on that strange train.
Don't remind me.
A much young... This is always my favorite part of detective work.
Nothing inside but a bunch of extra doilies.
How disappointing. Maybe you should steal one, just to spite Madame Dupre for not giving us any good clues.
No, Bill.
You're no fun, Miles.
Doctor, may I ask you a few questions?
Please be my guest.
May I ask exactly what kind of sedative you gave Andrew?
A simple tincture of laudanum. It's what I give all my nervous patients.
He seems a bit out of sorts.
Hot? Meat kettle.
It can have that effect, but it usually wears off in half a day or so.
Is there a way to bring him out of his condition sooner?
A stimulant would have the opposite effect, but I wouldn't recommend mixing the two. It could have potentially harmful effects on his heart.
Oh, of course. I wasn't planning on doing anything of the sort. I was just curious.
It's cute how you act like you have no experience in these matters. It's almost convincing.
Tell me about Madame Dupre.
She is a great woman and a pillar of the community. I cannot imagine why something like this could happen to her, or how someone could be capable of such a barbaric feat. Though this ordeal has been terrible, I am confident she will overcome. The power of her physical constitution is surpassed only by her strength of character.
You think he'd say the same things if he wasn't on her payroll? I highly doubt it.
What were the circumstances surrounding Madame Dupre's supposed death?
Her son, Andrew, sent for me a few days ago after finding her unconscious and unresponsive. As I was unable to detect a pulse or breath, I had no other recourse but to declare her deceased. I judged that Madame Dupre had likely suffered a sudden cardiac arrest. It was most shocking to be proven wrong at her funeral.
I can imagine. Where was the funeral held, by the way?
St. Denis Cemetery. Madame Dupre wished to be interred in the tomb of her father's family, name of Chesterton.
Perhaps I'll go have a look. Did you examine Madame Dupre after she reanimated?
Of course. Physically, she appeared to be in fine health aside from minor dehydration. I found no marks or bruising on her body. Mentally is a different story, however. She's remained in an unresponsive state ever since.
Do you have any opinions on what caused Madame Dupre to appear dead?
The most likely cause I can imagine is some sort of poison or toxin.
What leads you to believe Madame Dupre was poisoned?
The symptoms she experienced were consistent with prior cases of poisoning I've studied. And didn't the young man arrested have ties to some kind of black magic cult? There have been reported cases of these practitioners using poisons to make people appear dead, then commanding them to do their bidding. I recall reading about a man in the West Indies who was given tetrodotoxin, that's the toxic secretion from a pufferfish, declared dead and buried. He appeared alive in his village some 20 years later.
Doesn't that seem a bit far-fetched to you, Doctor?
Facts are facts, Mr. Fordham. Surely someone in your line of work can appreciate that.
How long have you been Madame Dupre's private physician?
5 years, and I've been practicing medicine for the past 30. I still spend a couple of days a week treating patients at Riverview Asylum.
Oh, good. Maybe if you're lucky, he could be your doctor someday.
30 years is quite a long time. You must have seen some incredible advances in the field of medicine.
I have, yes. I can only wonder how things will change with all this talk of ethericity. There's speculation it can be used to restore necrotic tissue and instantly heal broken bones, among other things. If you ask me, a good bloodletting will never go out of fashion.
Those are all the questions I've got for now.
I hope I answered them adequately.
With her vast sums of wealth, Madame Dupre could probably feed a starving family for the next 30 years. Instead, she uses the money to keep her hedges trimmed. Ah, St. Denis Cemetery. Best view in the city. It's just a shame none of the residents can enjoy it. I think I'm buried around here somewhere. Wonder how the old gravestone is doing these days. Looks like people have left markings and offerings in front of this tomb. You may think it's a silly superstition, but I wish you'd leave a bottle of Bollingworth at my grave every now and then. I don't know him. Must be a recent addition to the force. Well, at least he won't recognize you. If only that police officer wasn't guarding the tomb, you could go in there and raid it to your heart's content. Nice view of the river from up here. Egad! Is this someone's room or a jungle?
Quite a fascinating array of plants in here, not to mention the machinery on the table.
Madame Dupre's daughter seems to have an interesting hobby. We really should see about tracking her down. I wonder what sort of fertilizer or growth tonic these plants are getting. Whatever it is, it's definitely working. That's quite the book collection. It almost puts Adelaide's to shame.
All impeccably cataloged and organized as well, which makes the two missing volumes stand out even more.
That's quite all. Those are the most vibrant flowers we've seen in a while. I bet they smell extra strong.
Yes, they certainly do.
It's a good thing you're the one with the nose. This plant makes Miles Jr. look like a single blade of grass.
Well now, this is interesting.
Just a bunch of technical nonsense. I can't understand a word of it. Oh, would you look at that? Oh, would you... I have no idea, nor desire, to know what purpose that thing has. They appear to be scientific...
That makes two of us.
They appear to...
That makes...
Fordham? Is that you? You look like something a cat spat up.
Hello, Giles. It's lovely to see you, too.
What brings you round the jail? I thought you'd quit being a detective.
I'm looking to speak with Mr. Albert Martin.
Oh, I see. Well, that's him in the first cell there. I'd say what needs saying as quick as you can, though. He's headed for the gallows in the morning.
What? Already? But what about a trial?
No trial necessary when there's black magic involved. This little half-breed's already sealed.
Such a charming fellow.
Mr. Martin?
Who are you? My lawyer?
No, I'm actually here to help you. The name's Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator.
How are you going to help me?
I'm looking into the attack on Madame Dupre. I believe you're innocent.
Oh, thank heaven. That's music to my ears.
Would you mind answering a few questions for me?
Friend, if it means saving me from the noose, I'll tell you nothing less than God's truth.
Interesting choice of phrase for someone accused of using black magic.
What can you tell me about Madame Dupre?
What's to tell? She's a twisted, evil woman who got what was coming to her. Whoever attacked her deserves some sort of reward for the service they're doing the community.
So it wasn't you then?
No, I'm innocent, Mr. Fordham. You have to believe me.
I'm afraid you're not making that very easy right now, Mr. Martin. How did you end up in here?
I was just minding my own business at home when the police showed up with no warning. They made some outrageous claims about me putting some sort of curse on Madame Dupre. The next thing I knew, I was here. Oh, Mama must be beside herself with worry. I just hope she's all right.
What does your mother do, Mr. Martin?
She helps people.
I was hoping you'd be just a bit more specific.
She provides spiritual help to those who seek guidance.
She's a spiritualist.
Not quite. She's more like... how can I explain it? You know how a priest holds mass to spread the word of God to the people? My mother holds services and calls on the spirits to walk among us, providing healing and guidance.
So she's a religious leader?
If you want to give her that title, it would be the most appropriate.
And does this religion of yours have a name?
You'd probably know it as voodoo, but it doesn't mean what you think it does. People are so quick to judge and portray us as evil when they have no idea.
So you practice voodoo, do you?
Are you making fun of me, Mr. Fordham?
No, of course not. It's just that the police are convinced that black magic was involved in Madame Dupre's apparent death.
That's because that idiot son of hers knew about my mother, and like all bigoted fools, assumed that we're involved in devil worship and the black arts. But I can assure you that this is most certainly not the case, Mr. Fordham.
Of course, I didn't mean to imply.
Just forget it.
Do you know anything about the circumstances of Madame Dupre's supposed death?
No, I had nothing to do with it.
Then why did her son accuse you?
Probably because he's just as ignorant as she is.
What I meant was, how did her son know to accuse you? Have you had any contact with the family before?
Yes, you could say that.
Uh-oh. That gleam in his eye says it all.
You see, I'm involved with Dupre's daughter, Juliet Montgomery. Dupre doesn't like that one bit. She even threatened me once.
Is that right?
Yes. She might have everyone else fooled, but that woman is the devil incarnate. I can't understand how something so heartless and cruel could have spawned someone as pure and, loving as my dear Juliet.
He's not really helping his case much, is he?
Tell me about Juliet.
She's wonderful. Such a beautiful, kind soul. She hasn't come to see me yet, but I'm sure that's because of all the confusion in the last few days. Juliet wouldn't believe for a second that I would be capable of harming her mother. I'm sure of it.
How did you two get involved?
We met at the university.
Your classmates?
Hardly. They wouldn't allow someone like me to enroll there. Juliet studies botany. I work as an assistant in the greenhouse. We started talking, and she actually treated me like a person. To everyone else, I was just the boy who fetched the test tubes. But Juliet actually wanted to hear what I had to say. Had the same taste in books and art. Didn't just treat me like some piece of gardening equipment. She even shared some of her notes with me. From there, things just got better. I don't expect you to understand or approve, but that's how it happened.
Oh, you'd be surprised. It doesn't sound too different to how my wife and I got together. Except I was a detective and she was a singer at a bar.
And she's...
Yes, Mr. Martin. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. How often is Juliet in the greenhouse?
Every weekday, but I doubt she's there now. She's probably trying to find out where I am and working to have me released.
Somehow, I wouldn't bet on that.
That's all for now.
Oh, wait. Before you go, would you do me a favor? Would you go see my mother at our house and give her a message?
You're at 451 Compton Street, right?
Yes, that's right. Could you tell her I said St. Rock's dog is barking?
I suppose I could do that, yes.
Oh, thank you.
Whatever happened to a simple I love you?
You again. I told you I have no time for visitors.
You're Albert Martin's mother, aren't you?
Who are you?
Miles Fordham. I spoke with Albert, and he told me to give you a message. He said to tell you that St. Rock's dog is barking.
Oh, I see. That's good. That's very good. You better come in, Mr. Fordham. Standing on the street just won't do. Welcome to my home, Mr. Fordham. I am Sabine Martin. I hope you understand that Albert has nothing to do with this awful business. Would you care for some tea?
Well, her tune certainly changed when you gave her that message. I wonder what it meant.
No, thank you, ma'am. I won't be staying long.
The Virgin Mary? I must admit she was the last person I was expecting to see in here. A rather unremarkable book collection, I'm sorry to say. That statue, on the other hand, gives me the willies. That pattern resembles a flower. Interesting. For all we know, that rider is some... It's some...
I've got a few questions for you, Mrs. Martin.
I'll try to answer them the best I can.
Do you know anything about Madame Laura Dupre?
I never met her in person, but I...
Like what?
Nothing, but I can tell
Does that...
it most...
Do you think your son is capable?
Never.
That's what the mothers always...
Why don't you tell me?
He started working at the university laboratory. The university is...
Yes.
Ish.
He's...
What do you know about Julie?
I know Albert was smitten with her. No matter that I told him to be... Those rich Creole families don't care much for people. But from his telling, Juliet sounded to be a decent soul. It's a shame.
I think I'll take you up on your offer for tea.
All right, mister. You'll have to give me a few minutes to heat up the kettle.
A rather unremarkable... Interesting. Amazing! Even more voodoo stuff back there. Why would she keep these particular items hidden from view?
Good question.
The tea should be ready in a few minutes, Mr. Fordham. You can help yourself once it's done.
You're very kind, Mrs. Martin. I've got a few...
I'll try.
About that back room of yours.
I beg your pardon?
I don't know about this, Miles. Is this really a road you want to go down?
I had a look behind your curtain. Care to explain what all those things in that back room are?
Mr. Fordham, I was under the impression you could be trusted. Clearly, Albert was wrong about you.
Why are you keeping them out of view? What's their significance?
I don't like people invading my privacy, Mr. Fordham. You're no longer welcome in my home. Please leave.
But without me, your son won't get out of jail. Nobody else thinks he's innocent. Are you really going to put your pride over your son's life?
And now you insult me? You're really something special. I won't say it again. Get out!
You clearly hit a nerve there, Fordham.
Rather suspicious, if you ask me. Perhaps her and Mr. Martin's religious practices aren't as innocent as they claim to be.
An interesting notion. Well, I can't deny that the evidence against Mr. Martin is somewhat damning. If his mother was so sure of his innocence, she'd surely have explained what all those things behind the curtain were. I don't think Upton will appreciate being proven wrong. But like Fellows said, facts are facts. It's as though we've journeyed to the tropics. I don't know how you can stand to keep that coat on in here.
Pardon the disturbance, but are you Juliet Montgomery?
I am. And you are?
Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator looking into the events surrounding your mother's attempted murder.
Ah, of course.
Have you got time to answer some questions?
Yes, that shouldn't be a problem.
Do you know anything about ethericity, Miss Montgomery?
You surprised me, Mr. Fordham. I had no idea someone of your profession would know or care about something like that.
I've found that it pays to be open-minded.
To answer your question, yes, I am familiar with the theory of ethericity. In fact, it's recently become a focus of my studies. Despite what the newspapers have been reporting, it's already possible to access it in small quantities from the air around us.
Have you conducted any experiments?
No, my research has been purely theoretical. I don't have the means to do anything practical, I'm afraid.
Deceiver, dissembler, her trousers are alight. I can't understand why Juliet might not want to make her research public, though.
Miss Montgomery, please don't lie to me. I know you've been conducting experiments with ethericity. I've seen the room you're renting on Forest Lane.
What? But how?
I wouldn't be very good at my job if I didn't find things out, Miss Montgomery. Now please, drop the act and tell me about your experiments.
Fine. I've been researching etheric effects on living organisms. I'm planning on presenting my discoveries to the board once I make more progress. So far, I've managed to discover that plant growth is accelerated significantly. It's given me quite the advantage in class.
But isn't that cheating?
You have no idea how difficult it's been for me to be taken seriously, Mr. Fordham. No matter how hard I tried, my work wasn't valued on its own merits by my peers or professors. I fought hard to get where I am. I wasn't about to lose all that just because some pig-headed idiots didn't think my best was good enough.
That sounds awfully familiar.
What about your notes on the effects of ethericity on animals?
Oh, those aren't complete. I haven't tested the effects on anything larger than flies. Those experiments were mainly to satisfy my curiosity, but they have little to do with my actual research.
Curiosity? Seems like a lot of effort to go to just to answer a question. But then, I never really understood these scientific types.
What can you tell me about your brother?
Andrew, Mama's precious little boy. If you've met him, you pretty much know all you need to. He's had the whole world handed to him on a silver platter. But he's in for a rude awakening someday. Mother can only provide for him for so long.
What can you tell me about Albert Martin?
I'm not quite sure where to begin.
Why not start by telling me what your relationship with him was?
We met here at the greenhouse. He was working as an assistant, sweeping and cleaning and fetching things for the students. My focus was on academics, naturally. I wasn't too interested in romance. In fact, I've had to turn... But with Albert, I found myself intrigued. I noticed him stealing glances, lingering just a bit too long after bringing over a book or flask, sweeping the same patch of floor near me over and over again. It wasn't too long before I had him bringing me tools and equipment, regularly.
I see.
Mother was an absolute terror when she found out.
Do you believe Mr. Martin did what he stands accused of?
I'm not entirely sure. It doesn't seem like him, but if the police believe he's to blame, then they must have a reason for it. It wasn't any secret that he hated Mother. Perhaps I should have ended things sooner. It was satisfying to know that Mother was displeased, but I never imagined it would lead to something like this.
Well, it's nice to see she's all heart.
Do you know anything about the
No, it was then without...
I take it you were...
What sort of...
Oh, I could name a few. Juliet definitely didn't shed any tears over Madame Dupre, though.
Miss Montgomery, you don't have to lie to me. I'm not going to assume you tried killing your mother just because you weren't upset by her death.
I felt terrible about it. You have to... I just felt a sense of... It's just that Mother and I aren't currently on the best of terms.
Why don't you and your mother get along?
We've never completely seen eye to eye on anything. When I was younger, she used to forbid me from... I saw no harm in a kind word or smile. Then when I declared my intentions to pursue... In her opinion, a university education was tantamount to a chastity belt. What sort of man would want a wife with a head full of useless facts, she'd say.
Personally, I've always found intelligence to be quite attractive.
I'm not sure how she managed to find out about Albert and me, but when she did, she nearly had a conniption. As I'm sure you can understand,
You mentioned you were friends with the servants.
Yes, that's right.
Did your mother ever mistreat them?
Mistreat? No, I wouldn't say so. If they ever shirk their duties, or most of the servants are... Amelie's been a...
So, you...
Are you an admirer?
My wife has the...
Plants are amazing.
How do you mean?
They need a plant.
Nope.
Then it...
Those flowers are definitely not native to this area. Quite the I've never seen a flower. Judging from that pipe, that contraption must be used to keep the plants hydrated. But it looks like a giant earwax remover to me.
Could I ask you some more questions?
It's not like I'm going anywhere.
Albert, did you hate Madame Dupre?
The woman is cruel, sadistic, and bigoted. When she found out about my relationship with Juliet, she sent me a letter threatening to have me killed if I got near her house or her daughter. So yes, Mr. Fordham, I hated her. But even so, I love her daughter. I wouldn't be so cruel as to take Juliet's mother away from her, even if she hated her too.
I beg your pardon?
Juliet and her mother didn't get along at all. I never asked why, but it was obvious there was something going on.
Intriguing.
That's all for now. Good day to you, officer.
Good day, sir. How may I be of assistance?
Would you mind letting me in the tomb, please?
Afraid I can't do that, sir. This tomb is currently part of a police investigation.
I think I saw someone being mugged at the front entrance.
Nice try, sir. But that's clear. You're just trying to get me to step away, so...
What? No.
In any case, there's another officer stationed at the entrance, so if there was somebody being mugged, he'd see it for sure.
Well, at the very least, it's nice to see the department is hiring competent officers who aren't easily fooled.
Good day to you.
Afraid, please.
If only that